A very good evening, everybody. How's the holiday season setting in for all? Okay, I there's a thumbs up from Johnny. Sukanya's smiling. Okay, all right. Nitya, there's somebody waiting. Can you check, Sarika? Yeah, okay, awesome. Okay, we'll get started. It's a short 60-minute session that we have. In case we run longer, we will see how it flows, but otherwise, we'll keep it to the time that we have allotted. Yeah. So today we're talking presence. It's a very romantic idea. The word itself is sweet sounding, but the essence of presence, there's a lot beneath the surface, and there's a lot beyond the competency. Yeah. All of us as coaches, we understand presence from that lens of the competency. But, we have Deepa here who's going to uh, demystify a lot of things through her lived experience. Okay, so I'll come to introducing Deepa, but I have a little script that I wish to read before I introduce Deepa. And, this is something that I enjoy doing, and I hope you enjoy it too. Okay, so you can master every coaching tool. You can ask flawless questions. You can follow every competency to perfection. And yet, your clients will only meet you at the depth you meet yourself. Presence is not skill, not behavior, not stance. Presence is who you are when all your masks fall off. And that right there is what most of us coaches never dare to confront. More often than not, we hide behind technique, we hide behind language, and we hide behind our calm, composed exterior. But presence exposes us. It demands coherence. Presence asks, is your inner truth aligned with your outer expression? Or are you performing a version of yourself you hope you will be enough? And to take us into this territory, the real territory, the uncomfortable, the liberating, the powerful human territory, there is one coach whose life makes this conversation undeniable. Now, let me introduce Deepa to you in her most vulnerable state. On the outside, Deepa is a successful PCC coach with 2,800 coaching hours, impacting thousands of leaders through her work in leadership development, coaching, and facilitation. She serves as the International Association of Facilitators Bangalore Hub co-lead and is the course director of two ICF CCE programs, Purnatva and Leading with Presence. Her work integrates psychology, somatic intelligence, and Indic wisdom. A lifelong seeker of spirituality and Vedanta, she expresses herself through music, movement, and quiet reflection under the stars. She's also a tarot reader, an intuit, and someone who can read energies and facilitate healing. On the inside, until about 8 years ago, she was unanchored, confused, directionless, gullible, and carried a fragile sense of self. She was emotionally volatile, oscillating, and deeply fearful of authority and big tasks. She experienced depression, helplessness, and reached the point of attempting suicide. Now, her inner world is clear and aligned, purposeful in her pursuits, relationships, and work. She's anchored and grounded in body and mind, abundant, spiritual, able to say no with clarity. She's radiant and nourished by a rich inner life of inspiration. Presence is the reduction of the gap between who you are on the inside and how you show up on the outside. Her work is born from this lived integration where inner alignment meets outer success. This embodied presence is what she now holds and transmits in the spaces she facilitates. Over to you, Deepa. Take us to this territory of your lived integration.
Thank you. You know, when it came to me and when I had to, so let me tell you where this introduction comes from. Madhu asked me, "What's that one thing that no one knows?" And that was my cue to really and I would like to introduce you like that. And that was my cue to really reflect: what does no one know? And this journey is not known to many. But as I listened to you sharing it, Madhu, it was strange, but I had tears in my eyes. Just to see it, to hear it from somebody is, I think, it's very beautiful. It's an acknowledgement. So I think, yeah, this journey of inner and outer is something I think I learned very early from Vedanta. But at that time, it was a concept for me. Andar ki duniya, bahar ki duniya. In Hindi and in English, inner and outer. But it didn't really make sense to me until about 9 years ago when I started learning with my spiritual teacher the art of mandala. And in the mandala, when I used to represent the inner circle and the different circles, and I used to do breathing mandalas, which is aligning my breath to every avarna. It's called every circle, the concentric circle. I could see layers of myself, and layers disjointed, layers not speaking to each other, the layers not speaking to the inner not speaking to the outermost layer. And I think that was my reflection of how wounded, how fragmented, and how burnt I was. Then going back to the reason I quit corporate, I told myself that I'm leaving it for my children, but actually I was burnt out. And I was burnt out because I think I didn't know what to say yes to, what to say no to, and so much of inner volatility, and I was not able to identify and segregate all of them. So this is actually the seed of my journey of presence. Fast forward today, when I look at it, why all of this happened and why I embarked on this journey, it's very clear. This is my life's purpose. So coaching, facilitation, all of this are just tools, I feel, but the core for me is presence. So I think about a few months ago, 3 months ago, I was taking a session for somebody, and I was really looking at what is my understanding of presence. And a simple iceberg template came up. So I said, okay, why can I not use that in today's session to demystify it? So I'm going to present that, and I'm going to use that as an anchor for anchoring my thoughts. So my favorite, the iceberg. So when I really look at presence, to me there are three levels to understand the depths of presence. And the first level that I could understand, and I'm also bringing it now from a coaching perspective. The first level is about the iceberg, which is physical presence. And when I look at physical presence, it's the posture, it's the stillness, sometimes there's so much movement that with a coachee, I remember in my first coaching conversation, I used to vigorously shake my head. And my mentor told me that you don't need to vigorously shake your head. But I was really attuning and aligning with the client. But it could really take it off from the client. So the stillness and just enough movement, the eye contact, the facial softness, Um, and of course, mirroring the energy, but facial softness, attentive listening, which could also be like leaning forward or whichever way, calm and paced speech. Now, this is my understanding of what could constitute physical presence. And in my experience of coaching or facilitation, I think the core is this. When this is demonstrated, I think the client feels that my coach is interested in me. My coach is interested in what I am sharing, and I am important to the client. And therefore, I feel safe to share my vulnerability, and there is a stability and containment that is offered. It's almost like a ground on which every other element of trust is layered. So this is the first level of presence. The next level of presence, which is emotional presence. I'm sure we all understand it in different ways. This is just easy for me to do it, and hence I'm sharing it this way. Emotional presence is about attunement. And I think this is, we get an opportunity to have this right at the time of chemistry session. There are times when I just feel not attuned to the opposite client, to the client in front of me. And that really, that understanding that attunement is not there means the journey is not going to go forward. So attunement and picking that up. Am I feeling attuned to this client or not? Does it spark joy in me to really listen to this client? Does it make me feel I can contribute to the journey of the client? And that's attunement. And attunement also is at the level of the body, at the level of the emotions, at the level of the field. Do I feel we are in the same field? Are we attuned? Second is relating to your emotions and others' emotions. I'm sure supervision comes there, how do we segregate mine and other emotion? But one of the elements of presence is when we are present, our emotions, we are aware, but it is not coming in the picture at all. I process my emotions outside that space, but right now the emotions that are active is the space between me and the client, and it's the client's emotions. Second, the next is allowing without fixing, rescuing or withdrawing. A lot of times when we are not able to connect with the conversation of the client, we withdraw. And when there is withdrawal, there is no presence. How can I maintain my attention throughout the conversation in a non-judgmental space, just listening with empathy, with clarity and boundaries? I don't need to get carried away, but how am I able to be empathetic? I am in the shoes of the client without needing to solve anything or resolve anything. And this brings safety, and safety is one of the core element to bring trust with the client. If my client feels safe with me, because the outer world can be really, really difficult. Maybe the client feels safe nowhere. I've had clients when we have had multiple sessions just restoring safety, because the client feels safe only in this space. I have to share one example here. Prior to being a full-time coach, I used to be an expressive arts therapist. And I had a physical center. This was before COVID. It was in Indranagar in Bangalore. And I had a client who would just come to that space. And expressive arts means there are lots of arts tools, which means there are miniature toys, there is color, there's wet on wet painting, there's a yoga mat, there's sand tray, sand play, and multiple other clay. A lot of things are there. So there's this client who would come. She would take the sand tray, she would play with the sand, and I can see that when she's playing with the sand, her eyes are closing, and then she will pull the yoga mat, put the yoga mat, and sleep. And after a while, she would get up and say, "I'm done." No conversation. So and when I was in therapy, I would have a supervisor, because if you have about 5 or 6 clients, it's best to have a supervisor. to me, it didn't feel like I was doing anything at all. And it just felt like, I mean, what am I doing? I'm not even holding space, forget presence. But in the supervision session, I understood that what I'm holding is I'm allowing, and I'm allowing the client to, for it to be therapeutic the way the client wants. That is holding emotional safety. And that changed the way that I looked at the client. And after a lot of such sessions, because she would come every week in between her office hours, she would come during lunchtime. And after many sessions, she told me that why she would do that and what was she seeking. So the goal setting, etc., happened much, 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 much later, when she could come out of the feeling that, okay, I can trust this space. So emotional presence is really about allowing and attuning to the client needs by holding yourself. And if you can't hold yourself, then go to a space where they will hold space for you so that you can hold space for the client. Okay, supervision and therapy. I was in supervision and in therapy. So I had both these holding spaces which would hold me to see, I used to have about 4 to 6 clients every day through the day. So I needed that support system. And if I didn't have that support system, I know my emotional presence would go for a toss. Because somebody is holding space for me, I'm able to hold space for the client. Especially in therapeutic space, because the charge, the emotions, the conditions are very different from coaching. It is very, very volatile. So imagine if I'm volatile and they are volatile, okay, it's a thunder that's happening. And it's very dangerous actually. It's very dangerous for both the client and for the therapist. So that's emotional presence. And in my life's understanding, to me, this is the most important section of presence. Figure out your own emotions, figure out your own vulnerabilities, figure out what can take you downhill, what kind of narratives can take you downhill on that emotional presence road. For example, I used to struggle from I'm not good enough. Most of my clients would be I'm not good enough clients, feeling this. And the kind of triggers that would come up, and me thinking, am I even good enough to hold space for them when I myself am struggling with this condition? It used to be so invalidating to myself. So 2 things would happen. I would either, beh jati thi, in what they are saying, or I would feel this instinct of rescuing them. And my supervisor would tell me, especially, I don't know if you know the drama triangle. So there is a concept called drama triangle by Kaufman. And, we used to work on, okay, which part of the drama triangle was I acting out today as a therapist? And we used to study what was happening in my inner system because of which I'm behaving out of. So whatever happens in the inner system is what is going to show up in the outer, in the space of therapy or coaching or holding space or even conversations. I was similarly volatile in my mothering, in my parenting. The child is saying no. I'm struggling with saying no. I could never say no to my mother or my father or to anybody or to office or to any damn person. And here is this child who is 9-year-old who is telling me no, I'm not going to do it. And then my blood boils. How dare he says that? That is where emotional presence goes for a toss. So the only recipe here is to do the inner work and see what can. Saying no used to trigger me a lot. Like if others say no, it would trigger me. I would feel invalidated and would feel incompetent. So what is the pattern that makes you triggered? If you can identify that can help you to restore emotional presence. And finally, the third aspect of presence is the energetic field. This is very, very subtle. You go to a space and then you feel like either you're not welcomed or you're not accepted or you're too accepted. You just feel loved and cared and safe. This is that aspect. This is the energetic presence. You can't put a finger at it, and I've tried to, put it down for us, but it is very difficult to pinpoint. And most of the times, I have seen that this can go for a toss if intention is not clear. Most of the times, it is intention. It's the highest level of presence in that sense, and therefore difficult also to identify and master. And this means that what's my intention? Is my intention to prove I'm the best therapist or coach in the country? Or am I gunning towards just hours and hours and hours and hours, and I don't really care about, okay, I care, but hours is important. Okay, or does this make me feel good that, oh, I can flaunt my hours? Or I can say I'm also a coach. Or is my intention to serve? And this, only the coach can identify. Nobody can see it or say it. Only we can identify it. And therefore, this is a quick check that we can do. Today, when I'm sitting here, what is my intention? What is the purpose? What's my why of being in this space today, even in this masterclass? What's my why? If my why is clear, the energy clears. If my why is not clear or it's contaminated, mixed, energy is not going to be clear and it's not going to flow. And then no judgments. There's no urgency to solve or sort anything. There is no agenda. Literally, whatever ICF competencies say, no, not led by the coach, no agenda, nothing fast. Pause. Check the inner readiness of the coachee as well. So this is the energetic field. The other thing is that alignment. Alignment within. Alignment with the coach and alignment with either the larger space. If there is too much clutter and I'm sitting here for coaching, it is going to impact and contaminate the energetic space. Or if I've just finished like back-to-back sessions and I'm in the nth session today, it is going to impact because my mind is full of data. And this impacts deep trust and connection, positively or negatively. Yeah, and sometimes you don't know why the client trusts you so much, but it's actually the energy. And it's the wish, it's the intention that you wish well for this, for the client, whoever the client is. And this gives the client the permission to access their inner, because it's not your agenda at all. It's their agenda. So the energetic presence needs continuous clearing. Emotional presence you can figure out, okay, based on how you react, based on reflections. After every session, if we spend time in reflection, you know what really happened inside. It can be managed. Physical presence is very easy. You can feel it. Whether there is a listening or not. How rapid you speak, how not, how whatever. Are you attuning? So these are the levels of presence, and now there are presence leaks. So where could be presence leaks? Now here I'm bringing in the principle of the Panchakoshas, which is the 5 levels of existence of every human being. All of us live at these levels. The physical body, which is what you can touch and see. The breath body. Breath body is about regulation. And breath and physical come together. If you feel exhausted, if you feel not so energized, that means the breath body somewhere is not regulated and it's compromised. The emotional body, it's the volatility of emotions. It's the intellectual body, the seat of thoughts, and different thoughts. And bliss body, the way I've looked at it is connection to the intention or the purpose. Now, presence leaks can happen at all these levels, or there can be a pet leak or a space of leak where which I'm prone to because of my biography. For example, from my biography, I know that my leaks are in the emotional. It is not in others. So when I know it's in my emotional, I will counter that by managing those leaks. So what could some of the leaks look like? This is not a comprehensive leak, but I'm just sharing a few thoughts. Shifting posture, fidgeting, looking down, writing notes and not maintaining eye contact at all. It could, or just fidgeting, or let's say I'm not well today and I still decide to attend a session or have a session. And I'm in pain, but I'm trying to do that, for whatever reason. It's a leak. It's a complete leak. It's disservice and better to cancel. The second leak is in the breath body. Now, the biggest one here is holding the breath. It is so interesting that I have had clients where normally clients come holding their breath. Holding the breath means that they're holding on to circumstances without letting go, which is really causing their overwhelm and all of that. Just by mirroring that or bringing that to their notice, or sometimes I don't bring to their notice, I start breathing. Yeah, and because it is impacting me, their holding breath is impacting me, and I need to release it because I cannot coach with held breath. It's impossible for me. This is an interruption or a leak at the breath body. Now, the same thing could happen to the coach. If the coach holds their breath and coaches, it can be sensed because it's an energy flow. It can be very easily sensed by the client. So that is one of the, and holding breath is a pattern. It is not a one-off. It's a pattern because you have so many circumstances that's going on which is overwhelming that you're holding your breath. Interrupting is very, very is a big contamination or a leak, and it completely makes the client felt not heard and disturbed. It completely disturbs the energy system. Or rapid questions. It's like a rapid fire when we ask one question after the other because we have a set of questions to ask and complete. It's a complete breach of the breath body because there is no breathing time only. Spaciousness, on the other hand, is the positive of the breath body. So what is the leak at the emotional body? Is firstly discomfort with silence. When a lot of times we want to fill up that space of silence because I am not comfortable with that long pause. That's an interruption or a leak. Then not comfortable with tears when the client. I remember in my training, my therapy training, when the client and because it used to be face to face, when the client cries, if somebody goes and gives them a tissue, it's an interruption. Allow them to cry. It's okay to cry. In fact, that's a release that is needed, and when you let go, then you let come. Okay, and like Oda Sharma says. So, but if you're not you're uncomfortable with tears of the client because you have not allowed yourself to tear up in a space outside. So you have not taken coaching or you have not taken therapy, and then you have come here sitting and saying, I'm the therapist or I'm the coach. Or I'm here to resolve things for the world. And that's a big leak. So emotional body leaks or presence leak are very, very, very dangerous. So my request, is that please, that this needs to be absolutely reflected upon or merging with the client. I also felt this when I was this age and that age. So there are rules when you can share about yourself, and mostly not. And if you do, then it's your need to rescue, your need to share, or you're using their airtime to share about your life. That's a leak. And premature reassurance. I've seen this happen where, it's all going to be okay. It's all going to be okay. Arey, how? The client has to deal with it. You can't just say it's going to be okay. It's like the mother, if the child falls and the mother is saying it's going to be okay. We are in an adult conversation. That's an emotional leak. And why do you say that? Because you have said that to yourself in your life. So there is life outside coaching which comes in coaching. And if the life outside coaching has not been reflected upon and dealt with, it will come as an interruption or a leak inside the coaching space. So that needs to be aware. We need to be aware of that. Intellectual body, what are the leaks? Okay, I know this person is this. I know this is the problem. I know this is the issue. You've diagnosed. Already the client must have diagnosed asking ChatGPT. And on that, you also layered a contamination. It's a complete presence leak. Judging the client. Could be difference in value systems, but judging and then asking a question or giving advice is a leak. Using models too quickly. So, coaching from presence versus coaching from models. What do you want to do? That's the question. And using models is not a problem. When? How much? How much not? What will serve the client? All of these questions are important. And finally, leading questions. This is also a leak. And at the bliss body, the bliss body is basically the body that connects with purpose. And if you're disconnected with the purpose, it's a leak. You'll have your agenda. You want to fix. There will be spiritual bypassing. Both you and the client would have merged and says, okay, it must have happened for a larger good. Or God will take care. This is spiritual bypassing. It can be very dangerous. It looks like connecting to the higher, but doesn't belong in this conversation because it is coming from lack of presence. Or coaching from validation or ego. A lot of times we need validation, but when that comes as a need here, which means it belongs to a therapy space or your supervision space, looking at where is the need for validation coming from? Where am I not getting validated and therefore it's flowing into this space and I need it from the client? These are questions to ask, and that could lead you to a child wound or an inner child wound which needs to be processed in another space and not here. And when I've written all of this, I'm also guilty to all of these at some point of time. But thankfully, because of help and support, could identify it. Yeah. So these are some of the presence leaks, and finally, what I want to share. I'll just stop my presentation. And finally, what I want to share is the core is this inner outer split. Any leak will create a split. It's called a fragmentation. My inner is fragmented. So what I feel inside and what I'm going to do outside are going to be two different things. So the question is that how can I continuously know my inner world? Even if it is fragmented, how can I continuously know and work towards wholeness? Work towards understanding my inner, and if something is needed, then I rectify it or repair it, so that I become whole again. I know wholeness looks like a very, it's a motherhood word, but when we were born, we were whole. It was that just when I was born, it was a white canvas. There is really nothing written. And then when I got acclimatized in the culture, in the family and all of that, things started being written. And that's when I started feeling that I can't be myself. I need to be in a certain way to please and to be accepted and be loved. I'm not saying this is for everyone, but this is how the split and the fragmentation in the inner and outer happens. The more I had to show a different me, the more I fragmented and the more I fragmented. Any fragmentation is a presence leak. And more the fragmentation, more the leak, more you have to put efforts to coach, to facilitate, or to bring presence. So the way is to really look at what is this leak, what is this split, and working on this is hard work. This is real inner hard work. Once this happens, then the inner and the outer are as close as possible. There is restoration of the fullness and the wholeness of you, and from this space you can coach, you can converse, you can facilitate. Actually, it's not just coaching, it's to just live life in its wholeness. And because it is a difficult journey, and since I journeyed through it, and I felt my next step was to enable this possibility or enable this journey for people, and therefore I created these two programs called Purnatva and Leading with Presence, so that there are different tools available, there are different formats to look at. And Purnatva is actually based on the Panchakoshas, the five layers of existence across 6 months. So that people can really identify what's their leak, because their leak could be different from my leak, could be different from Sukanya's leak. So that you can restore presence. Leaks won't be there, that's not possible. But you will be able to identify the leak and plug it. Yeah, so the be aware of this inner outer fragmentation. Wherever you look at it, try to find ways to plug it and regulate yourself. Without a regulator, it's like fan on 5 speed in summer and in winter. It won't work. You're going to be ill. Yeah, I think I'll pause here. I think there are enough thoughts to chew on. And yeah, I just want to keep it open now for any thoughts, any resonances, any dissonances, any questions. Yeah, anything.
Yes, we'll take questions now. I have a set of questions, but I'm going to wait. I'd like the participants, the audience, to interact with Deepa directly. We have about 20 minutes with her, so yeah, make use of this time. Yes, Sukanya, go ahead.
First of all, thank you for this brilliant session.
Thank you.
And although there are aspects of this that I am familiar with naturally, because that just goes back to how I am as a person. What was interesting for me is the presence leaks. So even though in the 5 weeks, 6 weeks of having started this coaching program, and when I did start coaching, the leaks, I didn't know what they were called. I could feel them. It could be observed.
Yeah.
Those are things I have actively worked on every single day to improve. I didn't know what they were called, but this I will always hold on to. That anytime this happens, there's something in my mind that I can say to it that this is a leak, and that makes so much more sense for me now. Having said that, I have noticed that a lot of my leaks come at that intellectual
Yeah.
part. So that's me. It has happened. And when that happens, there's that self-awareness bit that kicks in and says that, watch it. This is what you're doing. And then I course correct. So it's very interesting. And this
Absolutely.
inner outer world work that you talk about, again, it is painful and it is extremely fascinating to me. And I think a lot of it I was already dealing with, all the years of my life. But through this program that I've joined, there's like a guided process to it. And then there are mentors that I can, reach out to who've also have lived experiences. So that has been of great help. And I know it's a lifelong process, but I think I'm doing decent progress. And I loved
Cheers.
your session.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, Johnny.
Yeah, thank you, Deepa. Thank you, Sukanya, for those points which triggered a lot of thoughts in me. So, a couple of observations as I was listening to you, Deepa. One is that I realized that every time I focus on presence, I lose it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so I let it flow. So that's one thing which I'm acutely aware of, and I want to strengthen that part of me even more. because when I start focusing on presence, I lose it. And today, I'm also learning to have an anchor in the name, in the overall name of called leads. And I do have something to anchor myself. So thanks for those uh, definitive concepts of those 5 layers,
Yeah.
um, which is for me, when you name it, you tame it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
So thank you for that.
Yes.
Very true.
Yeah.
Thank you, Johnny. I wanted to share in response to what you said that every time I focus on presence, I lose it. Very well said. And that's why all the presence work is done outside the coaching conversation. Inside the coaching conversation, you let go every damn thing, including model, including competency, including three agreement setting. Everything is let gone. There is only being. So the moment you decide to do that, and normally there is a ritual you do before, and you anybody like I do a ritual before and after. Before I get into a session and after, and mostly I always have diya, the flame in my room whenever I'm coaching. Mostly it is always there, or if I'm facilitating it, there will be dhoop or something, which grounds. So when these elements are present, automatically presence is restored. So there is before, after, during, but very subtly. And therefore, before and after doing whatever it takes for presence is important.
So that's a point which I forgot to mention. So you also mentioned, Deepa, that after a few sessions, your mind is overloaded with data. I find it very difficult to reconcile with that
Yeah,
because the more sessions I
yeah,
have, the more empty I am
yeah.
in a day. So um, I don't know how that happens to me because I don't give importance to data. I don't
Good.
even give importance to the content. I coached somebody in Russian. Uh, I had an interpreter to speak to the Russian from English to Russian, but I didn't have any reverse. I just looked at the body language and the coaching uh, objectives were met. So the content is absolutely inconsequential to
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
Yeah. So I
Absolutely.
don't overload my mind with
Great.
data. At the same time, it's also I'm noticing that somebody who started a journey with me 10 months ago towards one conversation said, but when we started 10 months ago, you said this. So how do you remember, Johnny? I said, I don't know. I don't take notes. So that's the power of subtle presence
Yeah,
without having to be aware of presence. Yeah.
absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
thank you, Deepa.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, Deepa, Johnny famously coaches 8 hours a day, 5 days a week.
Okay.
And he's a global coach, big man here in our
Thanks.
company today. Yeah, and he often, in all the forums that I've met him, he's always said, the more I coach, it energizes me. And while he was sharing, what was coming to me is because he's tuned in at the energetic level where he's attuned to the intent and the purpose of his life. And that's the reason why, it must be. I don't know, Johnny, is that in your knowing, or am I just bringing it to your attention?
I don't know what I'm knowing because when you introduced Deepa, um, you shared with us what we don't know about her. And my thought was, what will Deepa know about herself through this session today? Which she didn't know before she started the session. And that's something that I go in with in every conversation. What am I going to learn about myself through this client?
Yeah.
That's beautifully said. Wonderful reflection. Okay, let's hear it from the others. We have 10 more minutes.
Okay, so let me go ahead. Thank you, Deepa and
Yeah.
Madhu.
I have.
I think good. look at the iceberg and connecting with the Panchakosha. I think that's a beautiful segue to kind of look at. It's a couple of questions, and what Johnny already kind of shared. One is when you talk about presence, and one is the culture. So, how does culture really come in the way? And because what I look at versus what happens internationally, language also becomes one barrier. Because once I was coaching somebody in Chile, and they're more of Spanish background, and then we being Indian, so very slow. Of course, it does help, but again, so that's another challenge that really comes into the culture, language, and the third also you talked about. I'm sorry, I mean this is a stacked question, but again, I'm adding one more here in terms of when you talk about breath, so pranayama, Koshari talks about pranayam, where you kind of hold your breath so that it goes a little fully. So that's where I want to understand as while holding breath versus the breath practice. What are the difference there? What are
Okay.
the questions? Language, culture, pranayama.
Yeah. Um, I'll just share whatever is coming to me at this point of time. When I'm saying Pranamaya Kosha, I'm looking at the essence of that kosha, and the essence of that kosha is regulation. It is not one-sidedness, but it is balance. So I'm looking at it in the implementation of coaching from that perspective, and I'm not looking at pranayama per se. If I were to look at pranayama, that would be a presence practice for the coach, which is outside the session. So that's my interpretation. So suppose I do a session for, in the Purnatva journey, I do a session on rhythms. So there we would do, on each kosha, what are the practices, and you'll do those practices. And that's a presence practice. So inside the session, it is more about being aware of your breath, and you can't be aware there if you have not done it outside. So the break, all of it is done outside the session in order to be in flow inside the session. And that's what I heard from Johnny also. Second is culture and language comes as a limitation when the attunement, which is the emotional presence and the subtle presence, is not high. So if there is attunement, you know that you have you've done a chemistry session, you know that will you get triggered with that? If you will get triggered with that, don't take it on. Like, it is again boundary setting process. You have to set boundaries with yourself, what you will do and what you will not do. If it's going to trigger, don't do that. So that presence, because it's not fair you take on and then struggle with it. Because if you're going to struggle, it's going to impact the client. That's how I would see it.
Yeah. As you were sharing, Deepa, what occurred to me is that the work that we do outside of coaching is competency 2, which is embodying a coaching mindset, and maintains presence is during the session.
Yeah.
That's how I'm really seeing it. And to Arun's question on culture and language, I think, like Johnny said, he had an nothing came in between.
Yeah.
So operating at that level, then nothing comes in between, I think.
Yeah. Also the intellectual, sometimes my mind creates beliefs that if I don't know the language, I can't coach. But, I have held space for people with disabilities where, blind, deaf, can't speak. I've held space for that. It's never come in the way because the whole anchor is intention of love and wanting the flowering to happen in between. So if there is love, then it can happen. Love, intention, purposefulness, whatever we call it.
Sure. Thank you, Deepa and Madhu.
Okay. Deepa, do you want to walk us through Purnatva and your other program for us to get a sense of what you do with both of them? Yeah.
So, as I was saying, this program, it's called the Energy Driven Leadership, and energy is what's below the iceberg, so that it's that performance happens with the energy mastery. This is a 40 CCU program, and I'm not going to go through the details of it, but it is resting on these 5 pillars. This is the Panchakoshas pillar: body, I've interpreted pranamaya kosha, Arun, as vitality, because that's the ultimate, what we receive. The manomaya kosha, which is the emotions, vijnanamaya kosha is the thoughts, and anandamaya kosha is the purpose. And what holds all of this together is habits. So this entire 6 months journey, we work on each pillars through different modules, and it is a group coaching format. So there is a base section where I share a concept, but largely it's about discussion and arriving at what you need. And it rests on these pillars through the 14 sessions. I missed sharing that the presence leaks are nothing but interferences. So Kanya, as we were talking about, no? So the question is that if we identify the leaks to performance and remove them, we are removing interference, and therefore what the potential you have either to facilitate, coach, hold space is equal to the performance. So you don't have to worry about anything, you just have to remove interferences, and that can be done outside. And this whole program is created so that outside the session you can clear all of it, so that when you hold space you are in pure presence. You don't even have to think of presence, it automatically flows. So that's the essence of this program. And the next session, the cohort begins on the 17th of January. So we start on the 17th of January and we end on the 16th of May. When we share the recording, I'll share the details here. This is the fifth cohort. I've been running it for the last 2.5 years. The program also came into being from presence. So it feels like I have scribed it and put it together. That's how participants also come from that space only. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Deepa, for sharing your wisdom. Go ahead, Johnny.
No, it suddenly occurred to me when you spoke about the program and the 5 koshas. Now I know that Maslow has copied where he's copied the hierarchy from. It's a direct correlation between Maslow's hierarchy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can find a lot of
similarities and Okay, so when we were putting this masterclass together, Deepa and I were discussing what's some fun thing that we can do, a twist to the masterclass. Generally it's just a dialogue like this, and then we send you all material, and that's about it. So we thought we're going to make this a lot more real. So Deepa and I've decided on the 11th of January to do a live coaching demonstration, where Deepa is going to coach me and we're going to demonstrate presence, both of the coach as well as the client. Okay. So those details also we will publish when we, send the recording and other resources. So do join us. It's 12 noon to 1. 11th of January. We wanted to not do it in December because we thought we'll, open the new year with presence and a demonstration to make it real. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. So I quickly can show you all how that looks. Okay. Yeah, this is how it looks. We'll publish this both in the Coaches Circle as well as on LinkedIn. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing now. Yeah, we have another minute if somebody wants to ask one final question. Otherwise, we can summarize. And Deepa, do you want to take us through a practice or something so that, I think we can anchor this entire session? That'll be lovely.
Yes.
Great. Yeah, let's do that.
Yes.
Yeah. And by the way, this just occurred in the moment.
Yes.
It was not planned.
Yeah, so just have your feet planted on the floor. You may want to walk to the edge of your chair so that you can find the floor. Your feet can find the floor. Your palms open to the sky on your thighs. Gaze pointed downwards or closed, whichever makes you feel comfortable. Shoulders droopy, not held. Take your attention to the tip of your nostrils. And just watch how your breath moves in and out of your nostrils. What temperature do you feel on the tip of your nostrils as your breath moves in and out? The incoming breath energizes and the outgoing breath releases. Sense in. What do you need at this point of time? Energizing or releasing? Or both? And to energize, you can take deep, long breaths. And to release, you can even use your mouth to breathe, do the ha breathing. Bring your attention back to your nostrils. You may bring your palms together, rub them against each other, generate the warmth, place them on your eyes. Feel the warmth. Once again, rub them and generate the warmth. Place them on your eyes. And let the eyes and your face feel the warmth. And slowly you can open your eyes inside your palms. Move your palms away from your face. Keep looking at your palms. Allow your eyes to adjust to the light and the environment outside. And you may come to this space in this moment. Welcome back.
Beautiful, Deepa. What can I say? Wonderful way to close.
Thank you. Thank you and God bless, and wishing you a wonderful new year. Year end and new year. And if anyone of you is interested in knowing more about the journey, I would love to hold a conversation and hold space. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Deepa.
Thank
you,
you,
Madhu.
Madhu.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Madhu.
Madhu.
Bye-bye. Thank you very
Bye.
much.